It's transmitted through your nose and your mouth. Therefore, wearing something that covers your nose and your mouth seems to make sense. You get it by taking it into your nose and your mouth. When you get tested, they check your nose and your mouth. So it makes sense to cover your nose and your mouth.
Yeah, it would seem that would be that would not be rocket science, but I don't know. But on some levels, I guess it is.
What's going on, man? This is Enigma.
Yeah, and this is Enigma, and this is Enigmas Unchained. What it do, my peoples? This is T-Nigma with Enigmas Unchained, and we are back with this interesting enigma of the day. Both of us are Star Wars fans. They differ on certain parts, but that's an inside joke. That's an inside joke. But we may differ on certain parts, but we're definitely fans. So, like I said, I'm T-Nigma. I'm joined by the ordinary fellow Jay. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right. Got a little bit of a headache, but other than that, I'm blessed to be alive and, still killing it here in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah, I see you looking at your window. I'm sitting over here like, are you
trying not to be killed?
I'm saying, like, do you have to move to another location? I
think I'm okay. The shenanigans died down.
Okay,
so they were fussing a little bit outside.
If you have to lay on the floor, I understand, and you will not get no judgment from me. We had to do that on Mount Gallant. So. What I'm saying? Like shout out to Mount Gallant and Rock Elbow. The Gallant place was not a Gallant place, but the rent was cheap. No, but
at least it's not the bishops in Columbia.
Oh God, we didn't spot any snipers.
Still there? Like, is that neighborhood get plowed down, or is it still there?
No, it's still there, man. Yeah, like that. Like I don't know if they still have their designated 2 snipers still, but I remember when I was young, they definitely had snipers in that doggone area, and you had to sign off on whether or not you were going to somebody's house. Like that sucker was on lockdown. But like I said, that's a whole nother episode. But yeah, we're gonna talk about briefly what it is that we would like, what we think would actually be a perfectly balanced, constructed Star Wars game. And this actually just pops up because of the news that we got from Ubisoft. Where Ubisoft now is about to do a Star Wars game, which gave us both great trepidation. We're both like, if we get into the Assassin's Creed situations where it's the same rinse and repeat, and it's crazy too, because I'll say I've enjoyed Ragnarok. What's the name of this game?
Okay.
What's the name of it? Is it Ragnarok?
I think it's
Valhalla.
Yeah,
it's messing up. I forgot the name already, and I played it. No. So Valhalla was cool. But once you get to the end and figure out all the secrets, I was like convoluted. Like it goes back to the issue that I think that they just need to end Assassin's Creed now. Because there's really not much else to talk about outside of the 2012 incident. Like that's all they keep referring back to the 2012 incident. And I'm like, that's happened already. So
this is 2021.
Yeah.
When the 2012 incident, when they first brought that up, 2012 was still in the future. 2012 hadn't even happened yet.
And you remember,
and now it's 2021.
They dropped it on the day of the Mayan prophecy. It was like a day or a couple of days before the Mayan prophecy. It was like December the 21st of 2012 or something like that. It was something like that. They said the world was going to end. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like they were playing with that whole idea that the world was about to end. You just play this video game, and that game was trash. I hate Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed 3 is one of my most hated games. Connor was trash, yo. I was like, this is one of the most boring. I fell asleep 4 times playing in the first hour. When we got done, I hate them. When I got to Connor, I fell asleep 4 times, and I've never done. I was like, something's not right. I was like, is something wrong with me? But they're the ones who picked up on Star Wars, and I'm like, Disney. Could you have not called Amy Hennig back up and asked her what she was doing with Star Wars 1313? Could you have not just done that? But I'm jumping ahead. But so tell me how you feel about that. How you felt when you heard that Ubisoft situation, man.
I was like, I don't know if I want that. I had three thoughts. The first one was, I don't know if I want that. Ubisoft has a lane, they need to stay in it. And the other one was, Disney got a hard on from all the Assassin's Creed success, and Ubisoft saw dollars and said yes. And so that sounds like prostitution. And they think the fans are stupid. That's another. I don't like it when successful franchises think the fans are dumb.
Yes.
And like, so I feel like someone's talking to me like I'm stupid with that deal.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like they're like, well, they made Assassin's Creed and they made these. I'm like, name another game.
Not the same thing. Prince of Persia. That's all I can think of is Prince of Persia and Assassin's Creed is basically their.
But they were the same studio.
Basically their cash cow. Yeah, same studio. So like that whole franchise, right? Those two franchises there are basically their cash cow. They haven't done anything else that I can remember.
They've done Far Cry, and Far Cry is fun in its own regard, but
it's not legendary.
Yeah, it's not legendary. Like it's just a fun game. So when you think about Far Cry, you're just thinking about being trapped in the wild and beating up animals. That's pretty much what the game is about. You know, you trapped in the wild, you gotta survive, and you beat up a bunch of animals in the woods. I know that's an abridged version of what happens, but if anybody can explain to me whether or not there's continuity in Far Cry, help me out, because I don't see it. Because from Far Cry 1 to 2 and then to 3 was a leap forward that they needed, I guess, because it like a Skyrim. I remember they were like, maps as big as Skyrim. I remember they always talking about that back in the day, and we were like, that's not a good thing, because Skyrim was broke. It's still broke. It's 2021. The game is still broken. Good old Bethesda. Shout out to Bethesda for always breaking games. But
people still playing it. People still playing it. They love them Elder Scrolls.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're on PC, man, you winning. When it comes to Bethesda, you just go in and fix the code yourself. You're like, man, forget this. I'm just going here and add my own stuff and be done with this. But if you're on console, bro, you just stuck. You stuck with a trash game that may work. Keyword is may. But you got Ubisoft to their name right now. The biggest franchise they got is Far Cry and Assassin's Creed and Rayman. Let that sink in. Did they do Legacy of Kain? They didn't do Legacy of Kain. It was Eidos, I think.
Eidos. It was Eidos. So you see, there you go again. They don't like when I hear about a gaming house picking up a game, especially when it's one from a legendary franchise that means a lot to millions of people, not hundreds of thousands, millions of people over 40 years. Let's be clear about this. Star Wars spans 4 decades, right?
Yeah.
What does Ubisoft have to offer that nobody else is going to do?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that EA is legendary or anything like that. I'm not going to try to put Electronic Arts there. Like they've had some really strong wins, but EA also has a lane, and they play really good. They play really well in their lane, and they lucked up with Star Wars and did okay.
That's only because EA is trash. B, this is
EA Sports
is in the trash. But on top they have Respawn. Respawn is a phenomenal developer. I mean, the Respawn team is like the old school Modern Warfare 2 team that got kicked off because of the Russian controversy. You know what I'm saying? So you got those guys that made a studio that got their debt cleared with Titanfall. And they made what's the name of that joint? It's a free to play shooter game, Apex Legends. They got Apex Legends, and that's on fire.
That is pretty hot in the streets, isn't it?
They still make money off that game. And then you give them the Final Order, the Fallen Order. My bad. You get them Star Wars Fallen Order, and they make it into I'll go on. I think the game is great, but I still feel detached from the game, mostly because what I want, and we'll get in that in a moment, what I want from a Star Wars game, I didn't particularly get from Fallen Order. And that doesn't mean it's a bad game. I still think that that's one of the better, to me, one of the better Star Wars games we've ever had was Fallen Order.
It's top 5. To me, it's top 5.
Yes, I agree.
Sure.
I agree.
But I don't know if that speaks to the quality. So you said it's great, and I don't disagree with that. But I don't know if that speaks so much about the quality. Star Wars games are bad.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
There's some of the worst parts about Star Wars is the games.
Let's not get it twisted. Yes, there's probably like literally when they talk about a diamond in the rough, we looking for Aladdin when we deal with Star Wars. we out here in these streets like, yo, can a lion head pop out these streets so we can go and figure this out?
Star Wars games are there's like nobody out there thinks that the original trilogy is the worst trilogy. It's always going to be an argument between the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy. It's always going to be an argument between that. But I would still rather watch all 9 of those movies. Hell, I would even watch all of those movies and Solo before I would play the SNES. So I'm just gonna be real with you. Like, I
miss me with all that.
The SNES trilogy was awful.
Yeah, trash.
It was awful. It was so bad.
I mean, it's crazy. I think the best rendition of Star Wars was Lego. As crazy as that might sound. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really have to like let that sink in.
Lego Star Wars is kind of fun, but I don't want it.
Yeah,
it's fun, but I don't want it.
I don't want it either. But I remember because I had to sell it. So I remember like playing. I'm like, this joint is dang. I mean, they had their little cutesy additions. Like when Luke hand got cut off. They did a little something. But but they stayed true to what it actually is supposed to be, so I was like, why don't we just get it? And that leads me to my perfectly balanced. We have a story in the Skywalker saga. Now, I don't agree with the ending. We don't have enough time for this podcast, right? For this episode to talk about why I don't like 7 through 9. But at least the story is finished. Like I'm just hopefully.
Yeah.
So let's put a hopefully on there because we don't know. Disney might, now you know what's up,
pull
man.
A fast one. That would not be advisable.
Palpatine has another clone. They might just pull one of those. We don't know. So I mean, it would not shock me if they did it. I'm just saying. But for where we are right now, the Skywalker saga is closed. So then I think about what they left on the floor, like the toys.
Trioculus. They left. Trioculus. Jason Solo. Luke Skywalker moving a black hole with the Force like that.
Oh god, bro. Yeah.
Those 3 things they left on the floor. They just stay on the floor.
Yeah, it's left
under the floor.
Stay there. Nobody pick those. Those toys are the ones that give you tetanus. We don't want those. We don't want those toys. We want the ones that they played with, but they just left there for. I'm talking about like we were talking about this before. Force abilities, like discovering, diving deeper into not just you pushing stuff, but literally dealing with like the after effects of like what force use does, the root cause, where it came from, which is one of the reasons why Mandalorian, shout out to Mandalorian, man. Mandalorian is,
that was awesome.
That was a shot in the arm, bro. I need it. I was like, this is great. And they even dealt with the multiple places, even the Jedi and the formation of the Jedi and the Sith in the early creation and stuff like that, dealing with the Darksaber, stuff like that was in the lore, but was thrown away because we were dealing with Skywalker saga, because that's a linear line in a whole world that wouldn't. And that's why I say I'm glad, even though I didn't like the end, I'm glad that it's finished. I'm like, all right, good. That's one set of Jedi, of Force sensitive people and Sith that we don't have to deal with no more. Let's go somewhere else. Because there's plenty more to deal with, and there's so many other characters that we could create from multiple races, so. And I think that to me at least, I would love, they're talking about Ubisoft is doing an open world game. These are things I would like to see in an open world game, and this is just straight up. I wouldn't want to see a Force user that only uses a lightsaber. I wouldn't want that. I would want there to be a Force sensitive person that also operates as a soldier. Like as weird as that might be, because that was Finn. Like that's why I like 7 through 9. I think they just missed the golden opportunity with the character of Finn being an ex-stormtrooper who was Force sensitive. That to me was the most interesting story in the entire 7 through 9. But they dropped the ball with that. But we never really had a story from a perspective of a person who was never really trained in the Force that actually still had the Force. you know, and how, and the fact they were beyond the age of training, you know, they were too old to be a Padawan again. Like they just have a force sensitivity, and how that looks, because Finn was like in common places, and you saw him like turn his head like something ain't right. You know, it was like a sixth sense to him, you know, in that sense. Yeah. And I think it would be dope, you know, that wouldn't take a whole lot, because then that would pretty much be kind of like the Assassin's Creed Eagle Sight, in a sense where like you just kind of have like an echo or something in the force that warns you that something's coming, or whether the shot is the best shot to take. You know, we saw that with Luke Skywalker when he shot down the Death Star 2 times. Well, no, he did once, but but he's still a murderer. You know, but you know, the whole shot, the impossible shot that he made was force driven. You know, so we deal with that situation, and he was a soldier, no training, not full training. He was trained just a smidgen, just a little bit. But I was like, I would like to see something like that where we would have like a Padawan that you can actually work up to a Jedi. I would love that. Like where you actually can go up in levels. You start as a Padawan, you do missions, and you do the side missions, stuff like that, and they can increase your rank. But then also having a soldier that is force sensitive that actually goes through the ranks and stuff like that because he's force sensitive. I would like to see a person who has a void bit in the force, but is someone like a Tarkin. I would love that, because Tarkin was one of my favorite characters. Because Tarkin was like, I don't need this, but I can murk you, Darth Vader. Like I mean, he came close. It was a draw. I was like, this sucker fought Darth Vader to a draw, and that's why they don't even measure. Like when Homeboy was force choking the dude out, Tarkin wasn't saying that. He's like, sucker, that was your fault. He was like, look at me. I know how that feel. You know what I'm saying? But
Thrawn is another example.
Yeah.
Thrawn. He's another example. Like, well, he's right up in there with Tarkin in terms of being super dangerous. And unlike Tarkin, Thrawn was in fantastic shape. So which means if he caught you slipping with the Force, he's going to knock your teeth out.
Yes,
he was dangerous.
Yeah, he was. I mean, so you know, do you know they're scouting Robert Downey Jr. for that?
He's a little old to be playing Thrawn, to be playing a physical warrior.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I was like, I don't. That's like no shade towards him, but I don't. I think he could pull it off if they wanted him to. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I would rather see somebody younger. That's just me. But that's like no shade. I think that I would prefer somebody younger. But yeah, like
that would be. If he took it, I could see why he would take it, because that would be that would be a transformation. He would have to do a Heath Ledger's Joker type job to hide himself in the character. Like Downey would have to be unrecognizable, because Thrawn is a really specific character.
Yeah,
who has even down to the way that he talks, the way that he moves in a room, the way that he analyzes the situation. Thrawn is really particular. I feel like we already have actors who have a habit of disappearing into their roles. They could take his position, who are younger men, who are also who can get beefy enough.
Yeah.
Well, there's some actors who could do that job more just. I'm not saying that Downey's not a good actor. He's a good actor.
No, I feel like I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you could throw that bone to somebody else who could take it further, and it would do more for their career. Robert Downey's already like I've seen the farm he lives on. He's okay. He's like,
you know, it's interesting because like when I looked at that situation with RDJ being Thrawn, I was like, you know, whenever he's had to do a transformation outside of like, you know, but we all agreed Tony Stark was not a transformation. He was living his best life. But you know, as far as like him doing it was like using comedic characters. You know, like we saw that in Tropic Thunder. We saw that it was some joint where it was about dogs. I can't remember because my wife was watching it. And I was like, is that RDJ? And it was him. And he was a villain. And he was like I forgot something was wrong with him. But it was he had to act like a dog or something like that. It was that. Gothica to me was probably his darkest role. But once again, even in that role, I like I said, I think he could do it. You know what I'm saying? Because like he has the calculating ability to do it. If you go back and watch Uncle Wesley, you know, we call him Uncle Wesley on this podcast. You know what I'm saying? Wesley Snipes. If you go back and watch Uncle Wesley and RDJ and U.S. Marshal, Robert Downey Jr. was a villain in that, and while he was a villain, he was doggone calculating. And he was so calculating to the point where the dude knew how to shoot the grain to make sure the bullets got to Uncle Wesley while he was in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, to make sure he was gone. I was like, God dang. I mean, so if he could revive a bit of that character from U.S. Marshal and just dirty him up and make him a little bit more stern. I think he could pull it off. I mean, I really do believe he could pull it off. I mean, I got no doubt.
He got to get those shoulders. He got to work those shoulders, though. He would have to go in the gym. I'm telling you, he would have to be in the gym because Thrawn's shoulders are immaculate.
Yeah. Thrawn looked like he could just roll up on anybody, and with 2 fingers, he slapped the taste out your mouth. I was like, that dude was like that. I was like, mm-mm. It's crazy because, like, you know, people feared him, but they had the Force. They was like, man, nah, we ain't bothered. Poor Ezra. You know what I'm saying? Poor Ezra, man.
If Ezra didn't have a plan, like at the end, he wasn't gonna box with Thrawn. Matter of fact, Thrawn hurt him when they did box. When they did go ahead, Thrawn hurt him bad.
Yeah, because
that dude is dangerous. That dude fights he fights Death Troopers.
Yes,
for exercise.
For practice,
he has Death Troopers in his room that he practices with. You don't fight somebody who uses the final solution for exercise. Yo, that's what Moff Gideon called him. We solved the final problem
Yeah, you're right.
You don't fight someone who does that for exercise. That's dangerous.
When a guy with a bazooka is your boxing partner, no. You just leave the room. But that I would like. But back to this, what would you like to see? What would you think would be a perfectly balanced Star Wars game? Like, what do you feel?
So I don't think. So I would say I don't think I've seen a perfectly balanced Star Wars.
Neither have I. So that's the reason why I'm asking the question because I've never seen one. Yeah.
It would have to be something that somehow pulls together the best elements of the ones that were the ones that I feel did the most to lend credibility to an actual Star Wars game. So I think the KOTOR, the Knights of the Old Republic, especially 1 and 2. The PC only ones had okay lore, but the gameplay ability was kind of
trash. Just call it what it is.
So KOTOR 1 and 2, but KOTOR 1 in particular was really good for the time. It did not age well by any stretch of the imagination.
No. But lore wise, KOTOR 1 was phenomenal. And that's mostly because we had the original team for BioWare. I'm talking about like the cream of the crop, the ones who made Mass Effect.
We're talking like
and 2.
Who made Jade Empire.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like
which was a masterpiece.
Yeah, I mean, like shout out to that BioWare. I don't know what we got. It would have to
take the best elements of like KOTOR 1, and so take the story lore of KOTOR 1 and the sort of like the flow of how you develop the character and trying to shift them from either the light or the dark. Take that. You would have to take the sort of open world, semi open world. You have to improve the flipping map, but they would have to a Fallen Order. I felt like the visuals of Fallen Order, the interesting type of force powers, the sort of vibe that Fallen Order had overall, just in terms of like, it really felt like to date the most immersive Star Wars world. I liked how you could travel from world to world. You could do all the space travel.
I would like to be able to be in space to do that though. I mean, because No Man's Sky got it. And I would love to have like actual space travel and warping and consequences when you run out of fuel, small stuff like that. Because that was a huge part of Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? Ships broke down a lot. It's Star Wars, you know what I'm saying?
That's a regular theme in actually in all of the like in the comics. It was a major thing in the movies. It was a major thing. Yeah, that was a regular breakdowns was some of the stuff that
Mandalorian. I think 7 of the episodes out of the whole thing was dealing with him being broke down somewhere and trying to get parts, and
then ultimately the Razor Crest being destroyed.
Yeah. That's like, man, look, man, I ain't gonna lie to you. I felt some type of way when I saw that joint. I said, man, this sucker just got this back, man. I mean, I felt like
somebody got to die, and it was clean too,
bro. I mean,
clean.
That thing was super shiny. Then I saw that doggone robot talking about we have replaced the thing. I'm like, y'all gonna leave my dude alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, leave my dude alone, man. Shoot, he's just trying to live his best life right now. Y'all just keep getting in the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
So it would have to have the lore and the decision making of KOTOR.
Yeah,
it would have to have the immersion and the realistic feel and the freedom to go from place to place that Jedi Fallen Order had. But it would also have to have the Force abilities, like I know that if we're talking narrative wise, between the two Force Unleashed ones, Force Unleashed 1 is the standard bearer. But if you're talking about in terms of the controls and the actual gameplay, in terms of like what the main character can actually do, it would have to be a cross between what Cal Kestis does as a duelist and then what Starkiller does as a Force wielder. Because but in Force Unleashed 2, he was a superior Force wielder, and they worked out all the mechanics better in Force Unleashed 2. It was a better gameplay in terms of like using the lightsaber, throwing stuff around with the Force. The story was not good, but in terms of like Starkiller, the character, like the actual video games character, was they took all the feedback from 1 and implemented it perfectly. It was a much better. The playability was better in 2. And so if you were to take Force Unleashed 2's Starkiller and merge that with the dueling capability of Cal Kestis, and give me the world consequences and decisions of KOTOR, I feel like we would be approaching something that you could actually really make a good game, because Dash Rendar is not it. Shadows of the Empire was trash. You know why I played Shadows of the Empire? Because there was nothing else to play. Because like at least Star Wars has given me something.
That was look. Yeah, like Shadows of the Empire was one of them joints where it's like not even a one and done. It's a pump and dump. You know, it's like, you know what? No, like you turn the joint on, play the first level for maybe 5-10 minutes, and you're like, you know what?
This is trash.
I'm going back to GameStop. You know, it's like what can I get for this? You know, so yeah, it wasn't
good.
It wasn't.
I played it because you know what? Because there wasn't a game yet that lets you play on the Millennium Falcon, but at least that on the Shadow, whatever the name of his thing was, a Shadow Razor or whatever the name of his ship was, they at least let you pilot that, and you felt like you could squint your eyes and pretend you were in the Millennium Falcon, like. Star Wars video games do that to me, where I play them because there's nothing else better that will get me into Star Wars, especially before the prequel trilogy came out, and then again that same drought that happened before the sequel trilogy came out. Like, I want more Star Wars, but George won't make it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And these other clowns out here are doing, like, every now and then they do something that's good, but sometimes they out here and they do weird stuff that don't got nothing to do with Star Wars, like weird stuff. And
So
that kind of thing.
America, because our religion is guns, you know, like the stormtroopers and the bounty hunters and the Mandalorians and stuff like that really do vibe with American culture. But like, you know, I remember like, you know, a lot of the Squadron and Battlefront games, you know, I don't like them, you know, and it's not because they're not good games, but
I just don't need that in Star Wars.
I don't want that part. That part to me should be like at the bottom. No offense, that's at the bottom. Like, so when you're dealing with like a Star Wars fight, shooting somebody is at the bottom of my list. You know, so like that's what I say. I would love to have seen more Force applications, even dealing with the implications of why the dark and the light side still both got it wrong, like quote unquote, you know, like how they both kind of still got it wrong in the end, you know, and the balance that they were looking for. What they needed was a balance, even in the Force, that allowed nuance, that let you go from one side to the other to make sure that things were taken care of, rather than going to one side, which is the light, which they have to just not care about anything except for what the Jedi Order says, and then the other side that like just pretty much says care about your own feelings and your emotions. You know, so both sides are pretty much whacked. You know, that's always been my view. Even as a fan of Star Wars, I'm like, light side is trash. Dark side is dark. Well, I like dark side, but still, it's saying that dark side is still trash because their philosophy is flawed. You look light side, their philosophy is flawed. So I'm like, give me something that lets me choose either side with consequences, or choose the middle. You know, and give me consequences for all of it. And they'll say the KOTOR thing that you said makes mad sense to me, because that would allow a person to have consequences for their actions in whichever one that they chose. Like Mass Effect, you get a particular amount of endings, but the outcomes change in the way that people interact, which is especially 1 and 2. With 3, they muddied the water. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now I understand why, because EA was saying, can you please put this multiplayer in so I can get that check? But that's a whole nother conversation. But you know, like I hope they ain't got that in the third one. I mean, in this trilogy they got coming up, just a side note, I hope that they don't have no multiplayer in this joint. I'm hoping that they just like, you know what, look, the battle readiness is all based on how well you play 1 and 2, which is the way it should have always been. But yeah, you know, like, but that's another note. But yeah, like, I think that Star Wars has so much lore now that where pretty much you could take any branch and you can make 20 years of content off of a branch because there's so much to do. So I'm like, why in the world have video games been the thing that suffer? Like when you have all these variations and you don't have to make it about, that doesn't have to be a Darth. And I think the reason why is the obsession with Darth Vader and Luke. And no, like, I'm gonna be real with you. When I saw Luke Skywalker on The Mandalorian, grown man was up in here with tears in his eyes, man. I was like, oh, that's the G right there. You know, so I mean, it was more to me like just putting some respect back on his name that he has just ain't had in the past decade. You know, so that I just felt like that's. But I don't want a Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Palpatine, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca. I don't want them in another video game. That's like no shade towards them, but we got so much more things to do that we don't really need them in the story. You know what I'm saying? So I think if we can branch off of that, just leave the Skywalker saga alone, and let's just go off and make some new branches and do something like you were saying earlier, just doing some interesting things with the pieces that you were talking about. I agree. You know, we just need to get away from the Skywalker. That's all.
And honestly, I think a number of video game developers could actually take on the test. I don't think the Star Wars franchise needs to belong to one particular developer. That's my opinion. I just don't think that Ubisoft is it. I think that the publishing house that has the developers that have demonstrated the strongest I would say that has a history of it. It would probably have to be Golly, who produced Mass Effect again? It's slipping my mind, and we were just talking about it earlier. And BioWare. BioWare has the strongest track record with Star Wars. Like they do so good. I'm gonna no lie. In between movie releases for Star Wars, I would play Mass Effect. I would play the whole trilogy in preparation to go up to a Star Wars thing because it's the closest thing to giving me that feel. And so I feel like BioWare could take up that mantle, at least primarily for whatever your main flagship thing is. But I feel like depending on what the Star Wars game is, if it's more of a Battlefront, EA can do that. If it's going to be more Jedi and Force sensitive oriented, BioWare could do that kind of thing. I feel like they've had the practice for it. I feel like they specialize in that kind of a world. They've had a lot of success with that.
Man, like I said,
but Sucker Punch could do something for like Bad Batch, or they could do something for some outer rim kind of thing. Like Sucker Punch, they do fun stuff. It's like you could do a mini game. You could do like it don't all have to live there, but I feel like they need to put some respect on Star Wars' name in terms of like building good games, because the majority of those games are either games I don't want to play or they're trash. Like to me, the worst start of the let's with Mass Effect, right? So the worst game to me, the worst game in that franchise is Andromeda, and Andromeda is still better than the best Star Wars game. I just want to make that clear. Like Andromeda, I played that all the way through 3 times.
Yes,
and like I played it all the way through to where like my disc broke. And my downloads and because my PSN account was corrupted, so I was trying repeatedly to download and trying to install Andromeda. Also to try to get the Andromeda soundtrack. I went through so many support tickets to get that Andromeda soundtrack that I paid for. I probably spent a grand total out of about 500 hours altogether just on Mass Effect Andromeda with everything that I've had to do from support tickets to stuff like that. And I bought Andromeda 3 times, twice digitally, once on disc. Yeah. And to me, that's better to me than Jedi Fallen Order and the Force Unleashed in terms of like, and I think those two are the best 2 Star Wars games to me. And I still spent more hours on Andromeda. So Andromeda is the worst, and I think everybody agrees that Andromeda is the worst Mass Effect game. And it's still better than the best Star Wars game. And I think that's a shame. I think that it's a shame that I felt like the closest thing that I can get to a gaming experience that would be Star Wars is to play Mass Effect, like the whole franchise, the trilogy and drama, to get ready for a Star Wars release.
Somebody actually said, "Oh, it's more like Star Trek," and I was like, "No, I just
no."
I guess you just confusing the fact that he can sleep with multiple races. I guess I don't know, but they did that in Star Wars too. But as far as like even the abilities and the mass effect, like the whole thing is based on, and the different abilities that they gave people and people having to learn how to use this particular mass effect to their best advantage to fly, to space travel, and then you think about the Force and with the applications of the Force. The only thing they didn't have was a temple for the mass effect. That's the only thing they didn't have. They didn't have no orders because everybody manipulated the mass effect in a particular way that benefited them. I thought it was dope. That's one of the reasons I told you, like, I said in most of my podcast episodes, Mass Effect Trilogy is my favorite game because I don't view them separately. I view them as one whole game.
It's one continuous story.
Game.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my favorite game for a reason, because of the weight and the creativity that they had. I understand that EA pretty much just screwed the pooch at the end. And the fact they had to do the double ending, and then the ending that people got just wasn't one they wanted. But I still agree that if Shepard does live, that's cool. But even the slim chance that dude should be maimed. It's like there is not much room for Shepard to not be maimed after fighting the Reapers, and that's something I accepted after watching him get blown up in 2. I was like, shoot, these ain't even the Reapers. And it made you deal with the fact that he was a man. The same sense of why you watch Star Wars, and you were seeing Luke, and Luke was killing it in the first movie, man. You're like, yo, episode 4, Luke was a savage, killed like 900,000 people.
He blew up the Death Star. He killed almost 1 million people.
I was like that. That's not an exaggerated number.
About that. But he's a mass murderer. So
matter of fact, just pulling it back into Mandalorian. Somebody asked a question online, and I was like, "Yo, you shouldn't even have to think that hard about this." He said, "They were like, why in the world was Moff Gideon so horrified by seeing that green lightsaber?" It's like, do you not understand what Darth Vader is to the people on the other side? Luke Skywalker is on the opposite, and what's crazy, and this just getting me hype. What's crazy is that, like, if you look at shot for shot, Rogue One's Darth Vader and Mandalorian season finale for season 2, Luke Skywalker, it's the exact same style, different lightsabers and different, like a small bit of ability. But when you look at them daddy and son, like back to back, it's the same fight. And I was like, that terror that we witnessed in Rogue One, with Darth Vader, when like the lights cut off,
with the Alliance people seeing Darth Vader cut through
the terror.
Yeah.
So we flip it, and it's great because it gives you perspective that if a person on the dark side or on the Empire side was looking at that video of Darth Vader shredding suckers, the same reaction that all the people in the room of the Mandalorian had is the same reaction the Empire would have if it was Darth Vader. And the reaction that Moff Gideon had would be their reaction, because Luke Skywalker killed just as many people as Darth Vader for the rebellion. So it's like you put that in perspective. They're both terrors. They're the boogeyman of both sides, and this dude killed the boogeyman. I mean, quote unquote. In their lore.
And that's also one of the reasons why, despite how anybody feels about the outcome of like the sequel trilogy, and because this is something that you could tie into a game in terms of character development, like Luke, so the in the expanded universe, Luke being sort of like an optimistic but constantly beaten down by the disappointments of failed apprentices, Jason Solo, for example, that kind of thing, versus the sequel trilogies, Luke Skywalker, which is a completely disillusioned, grizzled old man. Like, before he reached the completely disillusioned, grizzled old man, he was still a mass murderer.
Yeah, facts.
He still killed so many people. Like, even in the comics prior to looking at the development of Kylo Ren, he was cutting down folks with the way he went at the Knights of Ren.
Like wheat.
He was like,
Like
this dude, man, was dangerous.
Yeah.
He had me like, he said, look, I don't want to kill you, but I will.
I will. I mean,
I will kill you.
And see, and that's something that I think that we need to confront that in the games. Because if The Last of Us, even though I don't agree with 2, if The Last of Us can be morally ambiguous, why not Star Wars? Because like the issues that we've seen is that we only really see it from the side of the rebellion. We've now hardly seen it from the side of the Empire. You know, like that. The last episode to me of Mandalorian was masterclass on storytelling, because I just saw so many strings. I was like, oh my God, they could take that into a whole nother situation. The beginning, when the doctor was in the plane, and the guy held the gun on the doctor that was on the plane, and he said, you think you guys are the heroes? You murdered all of my family, my friends, and you the heroes? And I was like, oh, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, you suckers. I mean, I was like, that's what we need, because the problem, like, and that's the conundrum of episode 8. Though I don't like it, DJ to me was the most, or at least to me, I thought that DJ should have been the villain. I mean, in a sense, like if they had found a way to make DJ into the main villain, where he had fooled everybody, he was kind of like a Yoda character in a way, where you don't know what he's capable of until it's too late. You know, so he was like, don't join. You know, like he was pretty much in a position of nihilism. He was like, just don't join. Because this side, I'm selling. I mean, this dude is selling to the rebellion and to the Empire. So, you know, the moral ambiguity of that I thought is actually very weighty. You know, I'm not like that. I think that to me was the common theme for episode 8, was pretty much analyzing situations of moral conflict. Like morally, what do you choose for this particular situation? I thought that was a great theme. I just didn't like the story. I think the story is trash. But that moral ambiguity part, I think, is what needs to be put into the face of people playing Star Wars, when you're slicing through a bunch of people on a planet, and you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? You know what I'm saying?
So that right there, that's the thing to me that made The Last Jedi's Luke Skywalker useful to me, because that, to me, that's the kind of master that would be useful. Like, that would be the kind of Jedi master, or a seasoned, Force sensitive, let's say someone who survived the Clone Wars, or someone who survived, you know, the fall of the Empire.
Yeah.
Who is grizzled, who's grizzled like The Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker, and is disillusioned. The reason why is because that's how he trained Rey. He was like, look, the Jedi lost perspective, and they're the reason why Darth Sidious was successful.
Yeah.
He wasn't just successful because he shifted the Force to his side. He was successful because they thought they had everything. They weren't paying attention. He said that's why the Jedi need to end. So having a dude that's cynical like that, because I've only seen 2 kinds of Force masters, and this is in all the lore. So that Luke Skywalker was a different kind of master. But prior to that, there was always a completely neutral master, like one that was neither the light side or the dark, but a neutral Force-sensitive creature,
quote unquote,
like
great.
Fawn. Yeah, like or I can't remember the name of the creature that lived on Ezra Bridger's planet, but that creature, the one that trained Kanan when Kanan had gone blind, and he trained him to be able to regain his connection to the Force after being blind. I can't remember that guy's name, but he was sort of like a neutral Force sensitive, but extremely powerful and unified with the planet. So we've seen sort of like a Yoda character type master, or we've seen a Force sensitive neutral type character, and so Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi introduced a new type of master, one that had been light side most of his career, but it becomes disillusioned with being just purely light side, and specifically with the Jedi Order. That kind of character is really interesting to explore. That kind of character would serve as a good, like if you were going to have Force characters in a video game, for him to sort of be like he's a master, but he's not a master, kind of thing like that. Someone who that kind of story thing right there would force you to make choices in a game, would force you to sort of have to figure out how you're going to develop as a character. I like Cal Kestis, but he's a little too like. We've done the redemption story already.
Yep.
I like Starkiller. I didn't like the name. Starkiller was a dumb name. It doesn't matter if it's in a movie or in a game. It's still a dumb name. But I liked what he was as a character, and I liked his transition from dark to light. That you actually got to have a full experience as a Sith assassin, and then a full experience as a Jedi. Then they actually made you in both games. They actually made you do you go to one string of planets in the beginning of the game, and then revisit the same string of planets in reverse. And that's actually how both games are structured with the Force Unleashed. You go through a string of planets in the first half of the game, and you revisit all those same planets in reverse, but now as a Jedi.
Yep.
Which I think that's a really good. I think that's a good formula, and I feel like BioWare, with a little EA involved, they can take that to the next level.
Like just say
respawn.
Yeah, respawn.
Just respawn.
So that way you don't have to
EA taking EA taking the credit for respawn work.
Peroxide to get the flavor of EA out your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like just yeah. I mean, but like, and I think that the Call of Duty idea where they shuffle it between 3 studios. I think that would be a good method to make Star Wars game where you make one that's intrinsically multiplayer for the people who want multiplayer. You make one that is purely open world, like full on open world. And you make one that's actually a full on MMO. That's how I feel. Now, I think that if you tackle each one of those, that leaves room for you to tackle different parts of Star Wars differently, where they don't have to intersect. You know what I'm saying? So like yeah. So I mean, like, and that's at least where I stand on that. I think that it can't be balanced in one game. You know, and I think that's the formula they've always been trying. Is like we'll just do one type of game, but they don't say, okay, well, you know, now this thing has multiple parts. It's a moving situation. It's a universe. So why don't we just tackle different parts of the universe simultaneously? Well, we got, this game comes out 2021. This game comes out 2022. This game comes out 2023. And then it rotates again. And this game comes out 2020. Something like that, giving people time to create and do something differently. Even when they don't even have to drop a new game, it could just be content. Like if it has to be like for open world, they just drop a DLC pack that's huge and just add to the world, and just keep moving. Same thing with MMO, just drop a DLC pack, open up the world, but yeah, stuff like that I think would be dope, but that's yeah. I mean, like, but that's I
honestly, and I said this offline earlier today when we were talking that like, I don't need another Battlefront. There's been 3 of those things.
Yeah, I'm saying we're done. We're done, man. I don't
need another pod racer. Look, I went to the Phantom Menace premiere. That was the first Star Wars premiere because obviously the first trilogy came out. Yeah. The first 2 movies in the trilogy came out before I was born. And the third one, came out. I think all 3 came out before I was born.
Yeah. And we called episode 6. I mean, at least the first episode I saw was episode 6. And
did Return of the Jedi, did that come out in 83?
It was like 83,
when did that come
84.
out?
It was 83, 84.
83, 84.
And I think we wouldn't have been cognitive to even watch it. That's what I'm saying. We caught the replays later on, and I watched. My order was actually back. It was 6, 5, and 4 because I was mad confused. I was like, what the world? Because I saw the end already, and then I saw his hand get cut off. I was like, the world? So when I got older, I was like, oh, then like seeing the order, I was like, okay, that makes more sense. So yeah, like that. So we saw it in reverse in a sense. Yeah.
So I say that to say that I was brought up on because we rented the VHS because we didn't own any Star Wars growing up. We just we owned one game, but we did rent. The original trilogy on VHS from Movie Gallery when those things still existed.
We didn't have money to rent to buy, so we had to catch up.
Just leave me alone. leave me alone. So yeah, we rented those on VHS. One at a time. And then I finally got an opportunity to go to a Star Wars premiere when the Phantom Menace came out, and I did not buy that pod racer game. I didn't want that. I wanted a laser sword. Okay, I wanted a laser sword and psychic abilities at one with the universe. That's what I wanted. And so anything that grasps with that. Look, those Xbox / PC Jedi Academy games, those weren't good. Okay, they weren't good, and they didn't age well. But guess what? I bought both of those suckers twice. Both of them I bought twice. I bought them when they were on Xbox, and I bought them, because I want Star Wars. That's the lengths I'll go to. I will buy something I know is not good. I'll buy something I know is not good. Dash Rendar in Shadows of the Empire is a prime example. I told you, I would just close my eyes when I'm and pretend I'm flying the when you're in the space battles, and pretend I'm in the Millennium Falcon, because it's all you're giving me. Yeah. You won't give me what I want, so I settle for scraps. Yeah. And Star Wars fans do that. Look, we do that.
Yep.
We settle for crap all the time. Mm-hmm. So to me, I don't want another Battlefront. I don't want another Army game. I can play Modern Warfare and get motion sickness. If I want another Army game, I will play Modern Warfare and get motion sickness.
Yeah.
And it'll be a better experience playing Modern Warfare, because that's a better constructed game. Yeah. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Yeah. No more Stormtrooper stuff. Leave me alone. Yep. No more Clone Wars. Leave the Clone Wars alone. Enough. And I don't want another racer game. Forget that. I want a laser sword. I want a blaster gun, and I want to move stuff with my mind. Let me. I want to go to the Outer Rim. I'm tired of talking about the Outer Rim. I'm tired of seeing comics that flirt with the Outer Rim. I want to go all up in the Outer Rim. I want to circle the whole Outer Rim. I want to go around that whole galaxy. Let's leave the inner rings alone. The inner galaxies, nobody cares about that. We know it's there. I've been to Coruscant. Leave it alone. I want to know where, like Thrawn had a fascinating conversation with Darth Vader, talking about where the name Skywalker originated, showing how Shmi wound up on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Talk about where the name Skywalker even comes from. Let's open that up. Let's do that a little bit. How about let's talk about those space whales that Thrawn got tied up with and flung out into the far reaches of space. Let's talk about the space whales. How about we could do a whole Star Wars game where you're actually hunting those things. Most people are afraid of them because of the accidents you can have in space. What about people who have been making a living generation after generation hunting those things and eating them? That would be great. That would be some good Star Wars. You would have to be force sensitive to do it because they're force sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole lore right there. Can you imagine a force sensitive pirate?
Yeah, and think about it. That's what I was saying earlier. I would like to have a situation where force sensitivity is expanded beyond the Jedi and the Sith. And that's a good example. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So
I just made that up off the top of my head.
No, but and I think that's also because a lot of the boardroom execs and stuff like that, they that work with Lucasfilm, they don't want this is Trevor talking. This is T Stevens, T Enigma talking. They don't want for you to really enjoy Star Wars. They want you to get a message now. And I think that's one of the reasons why with The Mandalorian, reason why it was so good is because it was a deviation from that. It was fun again. The universe was fun. Even with the consequences, it was still fun. But Battlefront, everybody's trying to force the agenda to make all their stories work in the sequel trilogy. And then that's how it feels. It's like, can we just let this thing go and let you do something different? And whenever it comes down to doing something different, they shy away from it because they know they can't use it because people don't know anything about anything. So they can't use what people know to further their own thoughts of what they want things to go. But that's a whole nother thing. But let me read you this thing real quick that Corey Barlog wrote, and he's the creative director of God of War right now. And this is right after the Mandalorian season premiere came out. He said, this is on December the 8th. It's not hidden. It's on Twitter. He said, if someone isn't working on a great single player Mandalorian game where you play a bounty hunter flying your ship from system to system, picking up bounties, upgrading your Beskar armor and getting into adventures, then I don't know what the hell we are doing here. And by great single player, I mean a strong focus on character development with relatable human triumphs, losses, plus seemingly impossible decisions to wrestle with, not just shooting, but surviving, but physically and emotionally. Both, sorry, not just shooting, but surviving both physically and emotionally. Though I would hope that the shooting would be fun. That was his remarks after watching the Mandalorian 2 season premiere, and I fully agree. Like I said, and it grapples a lot of things we just talked about with, like I said, drop the where you can only be with a rebellion. I hated the rebellion growing up. I mean, and it was mostly, and it's weird too. I have a strange relationship with the Empire view, because and the Mandalorian even validated it, as crazy as that might sound. When you got to the Outer Rim, you saw what happened to them after the Empire was gone. It was in desolation. Like there was actually at least some order that actually came from the Empire's existence. And it's just one of the things that, like, over here in America, Western thought wise, we normally grapple over what we think is best because of, like, the way that we perceive freedom and democracy and republic. But then we normally don't think about, what freedom and stuff looks like for other people. The Empire was big enough to literally, even though it was Sith run, but no offense, the Sith and to me, at least the Sith and the Jedi were the same folk. And I agree with Anakin when he said that in episode 3, where people got mad at him. I was like, I'm not particularly against what he just said. When he said, from my view, the Jedi are the bad people, or the villains. And I was like, yeah, I can agree with that. Because they tell you to not care. And I was like, that to me is almost worse than caring too much. So they're like, care about what I want you to care about. That's pretty much what Jedi was telling people. I was like, that don't make sense. It's like you brainwashing kids, babies. The Sith at least didn't take children. If you feel me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember that article that I had beef with that came out. I would say probably right around the time they did Star Wars 7. I think it was the radicalization of Luke Skywalker, where they basically describe Luke as his journey to becoming the last Jedi was sort of like him taking on a jihad and becoming. So I really hated that article. I was super angry with it when it first came out, and I've probably softened a little bit now.
Once you said that, it hit different because like I said, my anger for The Last Jedi is still, there's still some parts of that I'm like, it's like, so what they did to Finn to me was fully unforgivable in that movie. And that's not just because he's a black character. It's because, to me, he was the most interesting character that they had on paper. And I knew that John Boyega could actually act this behind off to do it, but they just made him scream Ray for 3 movies. You know what I'm saying? But really dealing with the consequences of episode 4, 5, and 6 that started in episode 1, of course, but the consequences of Darth Vader not having a daddy. Like if you want to be 100% real about the situation, this is all where this thing came from. Darth Vader was supposed to have a daddy in Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon died, and he got a narcissistic ideologue in Obi-Wan Kenobi that trained him just to train him because he was in a way. You know what I mean? He even called that dude a lesser creature in the first movie. You know what I'm saying? So the whole "I love you like a brother" joint that he throwed out there, I'm like, I didn't see any of that in episode 2. Maybe that happened during Clone Wars when he proved his worth to you. But Qui-Gon didn't need that boy to prove his worth. He knew that dude needed stability. He was like, look, you don't understand. Qui-Gon was farther along than everybody. I've always said that. I've said that since the beginning. I think Qui-Gon dying was a tragedy. And Dave Filoni then verified that by saying that Qui-Gon was the daddy figure that Anakin needed that he never got. And because of that, it wreaked havoc on multiple generations because one dude didn't have his father. So then we get the situation with what's the name of him? We get the situation with him and Luke. And Luke, once again, the same situation. He ain't got his daddy.
Yep.
So here we go again. Like where Luke is staying with his uncle. His uncle was quite restrictive. Don't want him to do nothing. Want him to stay out here in the middle of the desert, making green goop, all his life. I would have wanted to leave too. like Uncle Owen, screw you, I'm getting out of here. So you think about the mundane life that was forced upon him because of his daddy, like who his daddy was. And you're like, yo, you ain't be doing that. Rather than giving him context and explaining to him, no, this is in your blood and this is what happened. Rather than him give him context, he gave him shame for wanting to do something different. So you take that as a young guy, and every time you ask a question, you're giving shame, and then people die. And it was sad, but if you noticed, the movie did not spend a minute on their death.
I always thought just a quick flyby camera.
It was a flyby. It was like they bones on the floor burning. All right, Luke, get off the planet.
Have you seen the toys for that? Somebody actually made the toys. I still laugh every single time I see the toys.
You know what's messed up though? I'm a savage at heart because every time I get to that scene in the movie, I bust out laughing. I'm like, God dang it, Trevor, stop laughing at this folk. But for the reason is that it was so overt that they were the unnecessary stumbling block in Luke's way to leave, and literally with fire. The stumbling block was burned down. So Luke had no reason to stick around because Uncle Owen was the only person he was trying to approve of because that was pretty much his quote unquote daddy. So then we move on to Luke getting Obi-Wan, who he tries to make into a surrogate dad. He dies too quick.
And Obi-Wan was not interested in being his surrogate dad. Obi-Wan. He was never.
That's what I hate Obi-Wan. I mean, I'm in a tribe that do not like. I do not like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now I like the jokes about him being a high ground because that to me makes a lot of sense because he always acts like that. He always acts like he's better than other people. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I would love to see them explore that, like his narcissism. You know what I'm saying? I would love for Rey to have been his own granddaughter. Oh my goodness, that'd have been good. The sin of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan was one of those individuals that was, for the most part, he believed his religion.
Mm-hmm.
He believed it more than Yoda believed it. But he believed it more than his own master.
Yes, but he didn't. So because Qui-Gon kept confronting him about that in episode 1 when he talked about why don't you ask questions? Like why are you not asking questions about the things that you believe? Rather than just like say in the radical in the idea of Luke being radicalized is actually pretty factual. Because you think about what Obi-Wan lied to him in the first movie. Your daddy was killed by Darth Vader. That's a lie. There's no other, there's no way to cut that. You lied. You lied to this dude. Your daddy and his Darth Vader and his dad the same person. Then we get episode 2 and confront him about that. He's like, oh, well, I did tell you the truth. No, you didn't. You lied. You were forced
but from a certain point of view.
From a certain point
of view. That's where I actually learned that phrase, point of view. I learned that from
Obi-Wan Kenobi. By himself.
Yeah, I learned that from Obi-Wan Kenobi and The Empire Strikes Back, which is still the best Star Wars film.
Oh yeah, facts.
Still,
absolutely.
Out of all of them, it's still the best one. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean that's the best Star Wars we've ever had. I mean that's me. I don't have no apologies for saying that. I think that episode 5 is the best Star Wars we've ever had. Period.com. Like there's so much I can dissect from episode 5 that I can't do in 4 and 6, and I can't do in 1 through 3 or even 7 through 9. You know, there's so many worlds that open up to me, at least in 5. You know, especially like with Cloud City and a black man owning Cloud City. Do you understand what that did to me as a kid? I was like there's a black man in space that owns a whole city that floats in the sky. That is a level of hood I never thought could. That's a level of hood I didn't think that could actually exist. But you know, like that situation, you know, with all of those things, if you combine all those things into a pot, and you take, like I said, like the moral ambiguity of what the Jedi and what the Sith have been offering you, you take the lightsaber fights, and you take the lightsaber fights, you take the force abilities, force sensitive users that not Jedi and not Sith. If you take all of those, you throw them into one game, that game would be phenomenal. Because with Skyrim, when you open up Skyrim, they're like, hey, so what you want to be? You want to be a thief? Okay, well, these are the things that a thief can do. You know, so, you want to be a warrior. Well, these are the things a warrior can do. What race of warrior do you want to be? Oh, you want to be a Nord? This is a special ability of the Nord. Oh, you want to be a Red Guard? This is a special ability of a Red Guard. Or Argonia, this is a special ability of Argonia. You know, like that. I think that shouldn't be so hard. I'm saying, like, if broken old Skyrim can do that, and they did it in 2011, you know.
I think that probably the game that gives me the game that gives me the two games actually that give me the confidence that it could actually be done well would probably be Heavy Rain and Detroit Being Human. Those games, like you pick like, so it's more than just picking a type of character, but depending on the character you pick to play, you have a completely different game experience. It's a total, and so in order to get the whole story, you actually have to play all the different characters.
And you have to play it. As like you have to play it. I think the max amount, if you can do it, a minimum amount of times per person, you have to play about 2 to 3 times per person to get the whole to get every single ending and to get every single consequence. Because I got people right now that still don't know that they can play Connor as a villain, that they can actually be the villain of the story as Connor. And I was like, you can make Connor into the villain of the story, and it's wonderful. It plays phenomenally.
It's hard work. You have to. There's different decisions you have to make. There's certain things in rooms you have to find within a specific period of time. It's a lot of work, but it can be done. And so, like, I think a Star Wars game could function beautifully like that. I think maybe with not as many scenario outcomes per character per se.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that because it bothers me when that was the only thing about Mass Effect that I didn't like. The only thing about Mass Effect that I really liked, that it didn't really matter what type of character you selected. The outcome was going to be the same.
That's true.
It might have altered who you could have sex with the sex sequences in every Mass Effect game.
Yeah.
It might affect that, but in terms of like
the end was immutable,
affecting how the end was completely mutable. Yeah. But that was not like that in Heavy Rain. It was not like that and it was even more divergent in Detroit. And I think that with that, like,
look, Detroit got slept on, and I told people that I was like, you don't even know what you're missing. I mean, I remember people trash.
That game is $10. I can't believe that game is $10.
Well, it may.
Why is that game $10?
Look, first off, the game sold like first few months it didn't do well when it first dropped, because you remember that was like also God of War year. Everything came out that year, so it was like Detroit.
It was just the wrong year for it to come out.
Yeah, it was like Detroit, God of War, and Spider-Man. All this, and like, look, man. You can't be doing this.
You're not winning that fight.
Yeah. So what happened though? 2019 happened, and especially with the riots and the protests, as crazy as this might sound, when they saw Marcus's character, you know, like the character that what's your boy name? He was in the doctor show. What's his name? Grey's Anatomy. What's his name? Jesse Williams. Yeah. When Jesse Williams playing Marcus, you know, like when they start hearing the speeches, they're like, oh shoot, this dude was on to something, you know. So then I saw so many more people playing the game, you know, and like literally asking the question, like, is this machine actually something that could be treated as a different species, or is it just a machine, you know, and dealing with the consequences once it gets morally gray, because we don't know how to deal with that situation when we got it. When you have a robot in front of you crying because a loved one died, look, you know what I'm saying? That joint was hard, man. I mean, I remember like playing the ending with Connor. I said it's the hardest ending when you play Connor as a villain, because Connor has to be cold. I mean, extra cold, crispy cold. It's like when you get to the creator's house, he said, "Yo, I'm gonna give you this gat right here, right? I need you to clap this girl. And if you clap this girl, I give everything that you need, right?" I clapped the girl, like, no, so I was like, clapped her. And he was shocked. The creator was shocked. He was like, oh, okay, I thought that you would have some hesitation, but here's your information. And he was terrified at what he created in that moment. Of course, if you didn't do it, he also thinks it's interesting because he realizes that this is a deviation from the pro, which makes him a deviant. Yeah. So both of them, but he was more shocked at the command to do it without any hesitation. Even though he created the machine, he was, I thought I created you guys to be intelligent, and I thought that you would have more sympathy for something that actually is like you, but you just murdered it. Huh. You know, he was just baffled by that. He was like, that's insane to me, but here's your information and you can leave. And I remember how that affected him and Hank's relationship, and how it pretty much came down to you and Hank fighting on a rooftop. And I let Hank kill me as Connor to see what the ending would look like. And then I went back and played it and I killed Hank. And I was like, yo, look, tell me a game in existence right now that lets you go back and pretty much replay how you want your ending to look like. Like that. Like, well, you get like not just Connor, but you also got, you had I forget the other girl name. Kara. Yeah, Kara, Connor, and you had Marcus. And all three of them have completely intricate stories that sometimes may cross around, but they don't have to. Like you could play it to where Marcus is just being chased around by Connor. You could play it where Kara messed up and went to Jericho, but she didn't get a chance to really do everything she wanted to do, and instead had to flee Jericho. Or they got caught at Jericho. You know, so these are all, and I said, if we had that in a Star Wars game, you had to deal with the consequences of each piece, bro. But that's too. But I don't know why, but apparently that's too much work. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, that's too much work. So they're like, yeah, deal with what you got, sucker, and be happy. So,
like, I really do feel like Star Wars games could be not trash. Like you don't. They don't have to always be trash or be Lego.
I agree.
I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can be good. There's so much potential there. Like, just take the Jedi out. Take the Jedi out and either just put in General Force Sensitives or put in the Jedi. Well, I would take the Jedi. I would take them. I would even take a game that was about the Sith. I would take a game, not Vader. God, enough Vader already. Good Lord. Enough of the Chosen One.
No, I'm saying like we need to get off of Luke Skywalker, Palpatine, and Darth Vader. If we can abandon those three and go and do something else, I think we would be better off, because I think that, to me at least, episodes 7, 8, and 9 was held back by the fact they had to follow the Skywalker trilogy. I wanted them to follow Finn, because Force Awakens, even the title suggests to me that it's something new. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's when I went into the movies. I didn't get that. I was like, God dang it, here we go.
No, it's again the Chosen One. So instead of the Chosen One being one, the original Chosen One was the immaculately conceived Anakin Skywalker. The next Chosen One was Luke Skywalker. Yeah, and then the next Chosen One after that was, let's have two Chosen Ones. Yeah, essentially, we have Rey and Ren. We have two Chosen Ones. Yeah, but it's still the Force is out of balance. Pick a Chosen one. You know, they're like, nope.
But
let's move on.
It's like the Force is not out of balance everywhere, though, and I think that's the thing that is not particularly emphasized, is that, like, Palpatine does not own the entire galaxy. Period. He doesn't own the whole universe. He's in a corner of a galaxy, far, far away. Yep. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's so severely limited on what you can actually do with the world that was made. So, like I said, that's like no shade towards, because I love Palpatine. I mean, I love the Senate. I love the Senate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love the cabinet.
And even though I know that the Rise of Skywalker basically doesn't exist to you, Sheev Palpatine still, like, look,
Sheev.
Sir Ian McDermott did not pull no punches. He still, like, Palpatine was still lit.
Yeah, I mean, he
was still lit.
It doesn't matter because Palpatine and Ian is just married together into one person. He's an excellent. He gets that role. I mean, he got it so well that George was like, I need to put this sucker in the original trilogy. You know, I know that I know some people.
Like, we gotta retcon you back in.
Yeah. We gotta throw you in here because you are too good at this. You know, that's how good. So that's, I understand, you know, why people wanted Palpatine back, but I'm like, this dude shouldn't be the only. He's Palpatine. If we're gonna be real about the situation, he may have become the ruler of the Empire, which dealt with one galaxy. He may have been a ruler of an empire, but he wasn't the best Sith Lord.
He wasn't. But he would, but he, I would say he is indisputably the most successful Sith Lord.
Yes,
no Sith Lord has had a.
Oh no,
no Sith Lord has ever had a better career than him. No one. But Exar Kun was a better Sith Lord than him.
Yeah, on paper, Sheev got the trophy. I mean, but when it comes to practice, no.
Yeah, I would say Kun was one of the greatest.
Agreed.
Was it Margarag? I can never say his name right. Margar Ragnar. That guy, Ragnar.
I got you.
He was.
I always get his name wrong. Hold up.
Yeah, right. I just know the last name, Ragnar. He was an incredible Sith Lord. But I've noticed one thing about those old Sith Lords. They tended to have really short careers. Those guys.
Is it Marka?
Marka Ragnar. Yeah, Marka Ragnar. Yeah, Marka Ragnar's like the old Sith Lords tended to have really short careers.
Well, that's because they were mostly, because of the Sith nature, they were more curious about the Force than the Jedi. And that's one of the reasons why I like the Sith, because Sith side, they were like, well, we just gonna explore. So they were out trying to figure everything out. You know what I'm saying? The Jedi are just sitting in a corner somewhere, trying to control their emotions. I'm like, shut up and take your behind somewhere and figure something. Because like there's that episode of Clone Wars where Yoda went to go and visit like the temples of the old Sith Lords to figure out how to be a Force ghost. You know what I'm saying?
It was Marka Ragnar that was he confronted by Marka Ragnar?
Yes. You know what I'm saying? So in the fact that Yoda himself even felt inadequate being there, because these suckers knew so much about the Force in a ruler too, and why that made sense. It's like look, we cannot have a situation happen where there is a lapse in understanding of the Force. We have to have two. You know, so like that rule being made, you know, like to make sure that there was stability. You know, they had already figured out balance on the Sith side. It's crazy. But when you go to Sheev, old Palpatine, you know, Palpatine was selfish. He was super selfish. I mean, he was King Petty also. You know what I'm saying? That dude was so petty, he killed his own master in his sleep. It's like, I mean, at least confront the man. There's at least confront the man face. No, he's like, nah, sucker. Ironic. You know, like that whole situation. I'm like, this dude was terrible, but I loved him. But you know what I'm saying, but you know, yeah, but like I think that we can get a lot more juice out of this orange if we squeeze it a little bit harder. And that's at least where I'm gonna leave it off at. So what do the people say? What do you say? What do you think would be a wonderful, perfectly balanced Star Wars game? Because like I said, ours is like actually kind of taken into multiple genres, definitely getting away from the Skywalker family. We need to get as far away from the Skywalker family as we quite possibly can. I mean, we need to go 4 galaxies far, far away. We need to get away from the Skywalker. I don't even want there to be a remembrance of the word Skywalker in the place they go to there. I don't even want them to know. I want them to just throw it away. And start from scratch, and then not do a chosen one. Just do a faction of people that's fighting to save people. You know, a chosen one stories are good for when they need to be good, but when every single generation is a chosen one, yeah.
Night Sisters, bro. Night Sisters.
Yeah.
We could do a whole thing on Night Sisters. Like that's got plenty of room for stuff right there. Look, Fallen Order better not have a sequel and not explore the Night Sister stuff more. They better.
I don't even want Fallen Order to get a sequel. I don't want them to get a sequel. Because as we all know, Star Wars sequel on video games are usually trash. So it's like let's not do that to ourselves. I'm not even gonna wish that on Respawn. Respawn need to do something else. Let the Fallen Order lay where it is. You know, let the black woman be a woman who was seduced by. I mean, I love that joint. I forget that chick name, but that dude was just like, you are so seduced by the dark side, girl. Just fall. You know, you
talking about Seer?
Yeah, he was like,
Seer?
He was like,
she was still using the dark side power.
Yeah, she was. You know what I'm saying? He was like, just come on in here. You know, he was. You know, Vader almost started sweet. Like, yeah, just come on in here, though. You know what I'm saying? Just There's a bed for you in the dark side. Just come on. She was perfect for it. I wanted them to let her go to the dark side, and I done got away from the outro. But but yeah, like I'm gonna stop though. So we're done for the enigma today. Solve those enigmas. Do not leave them unsolved.